He says, "Own theme music."
From the beginning. Okay. So first I want to thank so many people, my family, my friends, roommates, my campus ministry who supported me through all this. And I especially want to thank the Hewitts up top who have supported me and inspired me all the way through the MPA program. But I really want to talk about my why tonight. So why go through the MPA program? Really, I just want to help the people around me, and I hope to do so now through the policy process. So, yeah. But this story begins in Gaffney, South Carolina, where I spent 18 years of my life. Most of that time, I was a theater kid. But even back then, I knew I wanted to help people. I just thought I was going to do that by being a history teacher. So whenever I transitioned over to College of Charleston, I was a double major in history and secondary education. I also had a strong interest in classics. I took 3 years of Latin, and I was a student teacher at Burke High School. But my interests were very much elsewhere. So around that same time at the College of Charleston, I took part in some political activities and organizations. I even became a student senator here at the College of Charleston. So I knew at that point I want to help my community by being a part of the political process. And so reflecting upon this, I got some advice from my good friend Kelly, who was also in the MPA program at that time. And I decided to switch my major my senior year from secondary education to political science. And in doing so, I thought maybe I could go to law school, but I ultimately decided that I wanted to follow in Kelly's footsteps by going into the MPA program. But I had a lot to learn. Most of what I knew about local government came from Parks and Rec, not the department, the TV show. So what did I start learning? I mean, right off the get-go, I was learning about public planning and all sorts of things. You know, it's just inspiring me to want to shape the community around me to be a better place. And my favorite class at the time was land use law, and that was where I got a real big interest in housing policy. So I also, at the same time, had my first internship for the town of Mount Pleasant, which honestly, this was a great experience. Learning from research is awesome, but you know, nothing really beats experience. And in this internship, I'm particularly grateful to the town administrator, Eric DeMora. He taught me a lot of very, very valuable things. One of those things being democratic accountability. Even the top, most efficient administrator is ultimately responsible to the public and to the elected officials. And that was something that I took from him. Now, my second semester, that hit hard. I'm not good with technology, so learning ArcGIS was very, very difficult. But at that same time, I had the opportunity to intern with the Berkeley Charleston Dorchester Council of Governments, and that actually introduced me to some other interests of mine, notably infrastructure. I did a project with the BCDCOG studying electric vehicle infrastructure in Charleston, and I also learned about how big of an issue pedestrian safety is in the Charleston area. So this really developed my interest in that way. But I also ran into my land use law professor in the coffee shop, Scott Barheit, who offered me an internship at the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce. So I went in there and I worked for the government relations team, and there I really saw how the policy process works. I got to see how the chamber facilitated cooperation and organization between different organizations and different municipal governments just to get things done, to really advance the interests of the business community in Charleston through cooperation. My third semester, I really dug deep into those issues that I was interested in. I studied pedestrian safety and public transportation in the Charleston area. I also studied gentrification, particularly looking at development along the Beltline in Atlanta and how that affected housing prices. For my final semester, I studied two things that I didn't think I would be interested in at all, but it turned out to be really interesting, those being human resources and financial management, both really, really important things. Now, what I've learned first of all, that I'm constantly learning. Public administration allows you to learn about housing, electrical engineering, law, and all sorts of computer programs that are incredibly difficult for me. And you can only do that in public admin. But I've also learned about really valuing taking in others' perspectives. As a public servant, I need to uphold the democratic process, and I also need to be considerate of people who have been historically marginalized or looked over in the past. I've also learned about leadership. I need to lead courageously by setting an example. I need to lead in communication and openness. And I also need to lead through cooperation, working with people who complement my own abilities so that we can get things done. So what is my why? At the end of the day, it goes back to, I mean, this is sentimental, but love. I really love the people around me. I love my community. And I just want to do whatever I can to make the world around me a better place. I thank you for your time. That is my presentation.